The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. If you own a home, you know how much work it can take, whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality. It can be hard just to know where to start, but now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Past lives. I'm Jason Horton.
I'm Rebecca Lieb.
And this is Ghost Town.
The idea of reincarnation might have been my first gateway into esoteric history, past lives, of course, via the one and only Reddit. That being said, we don't talk about it a ton on the podcast, and I still can't believe it's taken me this long to tell one of my favorite examples of reincarnation, the story of an Egyptologist's wild obsession with her own past life. A past life that defined who this person was even more than who they were in the present. This case is what the New York Times calls, quote, one of the Western world's most intriguing and convincing modern case in histories of reincarnation. Today on Ghost Town, the strange reincarnation story of Priestess Seti, or in her 20th century name, Dorothy Eady. Dorothy Louise Eady was born in London in 1904, the only child to Irish parents Reuben Ernest Eady, a master tailor, and Caroline Mary Eady. Her life's strange trajectory began when she was just 3 years old, when, after falling down a flight of stairs and briefly appearing to be dead, she began to act strangely, at times developing an unusual affectation or kind of an accent, and repeatedly asking her parents if she could be, quote, brought home. When they asked where home was, she couldn't say. This behavior refined itself to only bubble up around themes of Egypt, Egyptian people, and culture, especially after her parents brought her to an exhibition about Egypt at the British Museum. Wandering around the artifacts, it's said that she suddenly pointed to a photo and cried, "There's my home." The image was the temple of Seti I, who was the father of Ramses the Great. Eady feverishly insisted that she had once lived in that building, but then said, "Where are the trees? Where are the gardens?" She then ran around the halls of the Egyptian rooms, kissing the statue's feet. After this trip, she took every opportunity to visit the British Museum and its Egyptian rooms. After this museum incident, Egyptian fixation began causing more friction at home, especially around religion. Eady's Sunday school teacher requested that her parents keep her away from class because she had compared Christianity with a, quote, heathen ancient Egyptian religion. She was also expelled from a girls' school after she refused to sing a hymn that called on God to, quote, curse the swart Egyptians. At some point, likely in the British Museum itself, Eady met E.A. Wallace Budge, an Egyptologist, who worked for the museum and published numerous works on the ancient Near East. Budge was taken by Eady's enthusiasm in Egyptian culture and encouraged her to study hieroglyphics, which she did. After a close escape from a bombing raid during World War I, Eady was moved to her grandmother's house in Sussex. Here she continued her study of ancient Egypt at the Eastbourne Public Library. At 14, to the shock of British friends and family around her, Eady began to describe her sexual relationship with Seti I. Claiming to have been his lover in her previous life, she would recount visions of nighttime visitations where his mummy came to her bedside and tore off all of her clothes. Yet, rather than being terrified by these hypersexual, nocturnal hallucinations, she was obsessed with them. These, coupled with sleepwalking and nightmares, led Eady to have stints in several different sanatoriums at the behest of her parents, who had no idea what to do or how to cure this, quote, affliction. At 16, Eady dropped out of school for good, but it was hardly the end of her education. The teenager dedicated herself to visiting any and every Egyptian museum and archaeological site around Britain, funded by her father's investment in the burgeoning cinema industry. Eady then enrolled as a part-time student at Plymouth Art School, where her father was operating an early movie theater. During her time there, she began to collect affordable Egyptian antiquities and even played Isis in a community theater production of Isis and Osiris. It was during this time that Eady worked out the details of her past life, with the help of some very vivid nighttime apparitions. At one point, Eady announced to her parents that the god Hora dictated her old life to her over a year-long series of visitations. Written up in no less than 70 pages of cursive hieroglyphic text, Eady's past life story was this. Eady said that she was the reincarnation of a girl named Bentrashite, meaning harp of joy. Bentrashite was a lower-class girl, her mother a vegetable seller and her father a soldier. When she was 3, her mother died, and she was placed in the temple of Kam el Sultan because her father could not afford her. There she was brought up to be a priestess. When she was 12 years old, the high priest asked her an important question, if she wished to go out into the world or stay and become a consecrated virgin. Not understanding what it meant, and with, of course, limited options, she said she would stay, and took her priestess vows. During the next 2 years, Bentrashite did her virgin priestess thing, until one day, Seti I met with her, and the two had an instant connection. They became lovers, eating, quote, the uncooked goose, an ancient Egyptian term that kind of means eating the forbidden fruit. When Bentrashite became pregnant, she told the high priest, while also revealing the identity of the baby's father. The high priest informed her that this offense against Isis was so terrible that she would stand trial and likely be found guilty and be punished by death. Unwilling to face the public scandal for Seti I, Bentrashite took her life before her trial began. And then, years and years later, Bentrashite became Dorothy, another version of herself, lost and far from home. But that would soon change. More after the break.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. If you own a home, you know how much work it can take, whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality. It can be hard just to know where to start, but now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Hi, hello, how are you?
Hello.
How are you doing?
How's it going out there?
Oh.
Good.
Oh,
look at that.
Finally, 5 years plus we're
exactly.
in sync.
Finally.
Yeah.
Well,
that was that. We did it.
Time to yawn.
That's the apex of what we've been doing.
This is it.
We want to say hello to anyone who's listening, supporting us, spreading the good word of Ghost Town. Thank you. We thank you.
Thanks so much.
So much. I gotta get right into the government. I can't wait. You know I can't.
You're chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
Champing at the bit? Chomping
I don't know what
it
is. I don't know. Is it champing or chomping?
I don't know.
I've never second guessed words more than doing this podcast. Sometimes I'm like, wait, that word. That sounds like the right word.
I'm like microscope. What is that? You know, it messes with your head.
Well, we're chomping. I think it's chomping. I want to say chomping.
Chomping feels so contemporary.
But what's champing?
Champing might be an old verb that we don't use anymore.
Well, speaking of new verbs, we got some new verbs up in here.
New verbs. Hey.
The mayors in the house. They've had past lives.
Have
Did you
they?
know that? Oh,
I didn't know
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gonna tell me about him?
Good stuff. Will these references be modern whatsoever? You wait and see.
Oh, I can't wait.
Spoiler alert, they won't be. This mayor was reincarnated in a previous life, was in the TV show Beverly Hills 90210, the original. There's a little guitar lick they play like during like the early 90s.
It was like, it was like a scene segue.
It was a scene segue,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
from the
No.
theme song.
They're like, we need a
It
chord
would
to
be
get
like,
us to high school.
Dylan, it's like, give me your keys, man. Brandon, I can drive.
And then they're in the car?
And or it'd be like, you know, I'm going to do what I want. And then he's just like, kind of looking away, and it's like, it'll be like, like it's just a little Well, the guitar player from that specific part of the show, Marissa Rothermel.
Hello, wow, you took a journey there, didn't we?
This mayor has a past life, a little more modern. Remember the Segway? It had huge promise, but was a huge fail, but still exists. And other things, scooters and e-bikes and all that kind of stuff.
We did an episode on the Segway.
We did, right? We did, yeah, way
when.
back. Well, this mayor is the reincarnated version of the owner, and hopefully made a lot of money, but has come back as Emma Hopkins.
Hello, didn't that owner maybe die?
And then Emma Hopkins
Exactly.
was
The day that this man died.
yeah.
I
Emma
forget.
Hopkins is only 8.
She's just a baby.
Yeah, she's got her whole life ahead of
So
her.
young.
This mayor, in the past life, used to sell a computer. And the way they sold the computer, if you remember the ads, dude, you're getting a Dell. Yeah.
Wow. All of these reincarnates are very young.
It's do you really know how reincarnation truly do you really know, or is it what the media is telling you?
Just what Reddit tells
Is
me.
what Reddit or a podcast is telling you. You don't know. It could happen. Time it's sideways. Well, dude, you're getting a Dell is now Matthew Clemens LeRae. They're all salespeople.
They are. Of course, they're back to sell us some shit.
This mayor was the creator of the still existing, but not in the way that you remember it if you're old school. If you're at a mall in a food court and you see an Orange Julius.
Ugh.
You didn't like Orange Julius?
Oh, I hate orange and creamsicle stuff.
Okay. I'm like kind of whatever. I'm not crazy about it. It's like, what even is it? It's like milk.
I don't like citrus with chocolate. I'm not.
Right.
I would walk by this is ages me, and I'd be like, ugh, Orange Julius. But I shouldn't, because now it's someone that we love.
What if it was in a Hollywood event and it was free?
I would choke some down. I would choke 4 down.
Like, you're not getting paid for this. They're like, I don't, it's free.
Yeah.
Well, the owner and creator of Orange Julius is now Casey Weber.
Hello.
This mayor was the person, not the creator of this company, but was the person who designed the inside of the original Pizza Huts, where it was like the chandeliers, the tables, the tabletop video games. I don't know if people remember, but this was magic. The cups were red. The ice was crushed, and it was filled with soda. Am I taking anyone there? Am I taking anybody there? It was such an amazing time. You play Pac-Man or whatever, and you just eat. The pizza was good. I mean, it's still, whatever. It's Pizza Hut's good.
Yeah, pizza's solid-ish.
But it's that inside. Look at pictures
Yeah,
of
you
Pizza
just wanna
Huts from like
be
the
there.
70s and 80s and like early 90s. You'll get rocked. You'll get rocked. You can thank one person for that. That's Kelly Meehan.
Hello. Thank you for your service.
This mayor is involved in Broadway.
Oh, you don't say.
I do say. They are the genius behind the Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
So they're not reincarnated. They just did this.
No, they were the reincarnated version of the person who created that. They might still be alive. I think.
You just, in my brain, you just threw out one that has nothing to do with reincarnation. It's just what this guy did.
No. It's just the reincarnation, and this person could still be alive, but they're separate. Like they're separate. You don't know how reincarnation works. No, prove it. Prove it's not this.
I can't prove it.
But they are the reincarnated version of the person who made that, because they probably died inside because of the huge failure that it was and all the disaster and stuff. That at least it's a modern reference. It's as modern as I'm going to get.
It is. I mean, what was that? 2015? What was that?
11, maybe 2011 or something
Okay.
like that. They died probably also career-wise and financially, but they were born anew into Cat Joselle.
Hello.
This mayor is the reincarnated version of something we all love. The person that invented the middle of the mall kiosk where somebody kind of catcalls you to using the product.
Yeah.
Your glasses need to be cleaned.
Yeah.
Your
You want a
shoes
hermit crab?
Yeah.
A cell phone charm.
Look at this little helicopter pops out of your head in this helmet.
You're like,
you
oh,
need this.
I'm just trying to get to
Aeropostale.
Aeropostale or like
American
a
Girl
Sunglass
doll.
Hut
Yeah.
or like I'm just trying to get to a Build-A-Bear.
And
Jesus.
you're just like, oh, I'm not safe just walking through. It's like you're getting catcalled.
Yeah, they're
hey,
like, hey.
mama. Hey, mama. They're saying that to me.
Yeah, they're saying it to you.
It's like your glasses need to be cleaned. I was like, why do my glasses need to be cleaned?
Yeah,
Oh,
by
they're
you.
fine. Yeah, they're
gummy
fine.
ass hands.
Well, the person who invented that is long gone, I'm sure. But they are back in a big way, ready to do more damage. That's Ashley Matson.
Hello.
And then our governor, who's lived 1,000 lives.
I mean, pick a past life.
Do you know the inventor of the person when commercial air like flight? And they were like, you know what? Let's put the poors in cramped seats in the back. And then the haves get all this legroom and champagne, and like you'd wheel out like a roast. You ever see the old pictures of like a Pan Am flight and stuff like that? And they wheel out a roast.
Ooh.
Well, the people in the back just suffered, and they just crawled around like rats. Just rats.
Jesus.
Just broke rats in a maze. The class,
Social class design.
war
Wow.
on an airplane. Yeah, you're both on an airplane, but it's a very, very different life you're leading.
Whoa. This is intimidating.
The person who invented that has been reincarnated and who maybe could be part of the heir of, we don't know. They could also be family.
They're pharaohs, they're presidents, they're family. They have a firm grip. They have a power that cannot be disputed.
Well, that would be our governor, Avian Noble.
Noble.
If you want no ads, no chit-chat, bonus episodes, just the good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/ghosttownpod. One interesting thing, got an email. I sent it to you.
Oh, that's right.
We talked about, and I don't know how we're going to do this. I need to vet it a little bit more. I don't want to be like somebody who's just like completely unvetting things.
Well, when anything is sent to us in all caps, I'm obviously curious.
Yes, that's why
but
I said,
also
okay.
skeptical.
Yeah. We discussed this Paula Abdul thing where she claimed to survive a plane crash.
Yes.
It's a previous episode. I don't believe it. Is it a Patreon or is it a...
I think it's a real... I was going to look it up.
Well, they're all real. They're all real. Patreon ones are
real
probably
people.
more
Those are
real.
ghosts. Those are for ghost people that give us money.
They're all real. But we talked about a kind of a strange thing where Paula Abdul went on record many times talking about this plane crash that she was in and survived, and there's no record of a plane crash.
Yeah.
Somebody heard that episode and was like, "Hey, I've dug into this a lot." And they broke a lot of things down, and then they had sources. So they sent it to me. I asked them. I was like, "Yes, I would like your sources." I mean, I can get on here and just read this and whatever, but I was like, I feel like I need to take a little responsibility and read it. I asked them. I was like, "Do you want your name?" They don't want their name mentioned. Whatever.
Very anonymous. In fact, the email itself
is an
was
anonymous email.
It's very cool.
So
I'll say it's very cool.
I think this might be something we're going to throw on Patreon.
Ooh, okay.
We'll let you know it's on Patreon. It's 7 days free, right? You can listen to it for free. You know what I mean? And then you can just bail.
Yeah.
You can listen to there's like 70, almost 80 bonus episodes.
I love it.
Then it maybe at some point might throw it on
the
main.
Or I think, okay, so if you want to go back and listen to this, it is February 10th, 2023. I can't find the episode, but it's back there. It's back there about
It's
a
back
year,
there, yeah.
I would say.
You have access to it.
It's a mini, so if you Google Ghost Town Podcast Paula Abdul, you'll find it really quickly. But I mean, it'd be fun to do that and then this as kind of an update. We've done a couple like little updates.
Maybe we'll throw that on there for context and then be like, hey, here's an update.
Here's this.
So patreon.com/ghosttownpod. We'll put that up there next. And then we'll maybe throw it on the main. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's one of those things I was like, okay, somebody else, because it's so
I loved
weird.
it. I mean,
It's
clearly the person who wrote that email has been thinking about this for a very, very, very long time and digging into it. And when you did that podcast, when you did it, I had never heard of it. And I was like, what the I mean, it's something that, like, if you don't know about this, it's like, why? Like, it's so insane.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I think, when we talk about it maybe on the podcast, but the Jamila Jamil, where
Yes.
it's like, where you're going down this like crazy wormhole of like unsubstantiated statements and like facts that aren't real and are really proven to not be real. But you're like, this is a very famous musician figurehead. Like,
Yeah.
she
And,
don't-
you know, and again, nothing, you know, love Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
None
It's
of this has ever
fascinating.
been a like slight on Paula Abdul. But
what happened?
when you're a celebrity and you put stuff out there more than once, it's like, call it to question. I think that's
No.
okay to do without, you know, you can both be a cool person, but also say things that you can be called to question. That can
Yeah.
happen.
The strangeness of it is really, I would highly recommend going and listening to it. I still think about it. And that's,
So we have, I think, what is a little more than what you might find on the internet just searching, because this person is interestingly has
They
curated,
sought us out.
and they saw, yeah, and I think
know?
that's really great. And yes, and the email is a slightly cryptic email, not weird.
Not
The person is
weird.
not weird. The person's cool, but it is weird.
it's weird. I mean, it's
But
just
that's what we
weird.
love.
The whole thing is weird. I know they knew what we liked and they
Yeah.
were passionate about it. They sought us out to communicate this information, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna get to something to look forward to. I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
I
something-
do. My life
something-
is small, though.
Yeah. So depending on what you have going on,
Yeah.
this could be everything or absolutely nothing. And we hope it's absolutely nothing. We hope you have so much going on that this is just a little blip. A little blip.
Blip in the radar.
Do you want to take us back
Yes.
to the past?
Let's go back to the past, not past,
Just
but
regular past.
past-ish. We're going back to the 20th century, where we have, at the age of 27, Eady working in London with an Egyptian public relations magazine, for which she wrote articles and drew cartoons that reflected her political support for an independent Egypt, a pretty fringe view at the time. During this time, she met a man named Imam Abdel Meguid, I hope I'm saying that right, an Egyptian student, with whom she continued to correspond with when he returned home to Egypt. In 1931, the 27-year-old followed Imam Abdel Meguid to Egypt after he got a steady job teaching English in Cairo. On arriving in Egypt, Eady kissed the ground and announced that she had come home to stay. Soon after, Meguid asked to marry Eady, and she agreed. Moving in with him and his parents, who gave Eady the nickname Bulbul, or Nightingale. Soon after, they gave birth to a son the couple named Seti, after, you guessed it, Eady's lover in a past life. Not awkward at all, but here we are. Eady began calling herself Seti, mother of Seti, which is how she was known for much of the rest of her life. After a chance meeting with a celebrity archaeologist named George Reisner, Eady visited the 5th Dynasty Pyramid of Unas, which spurred more visions, apparitions, and out-of-body experiences. This eventually caused friction with her husband's family, who were a normal Egyptian upper-middle-class crew and had a level of practicality and pragmatism that didn't allow for a lot of hallucinatory vision determination or anything like that. Unsurprisingly, in 1935, the marriage ended, lasting a scant 2 years before Imam left Eady and moved to Iraq for another teaching job. But as you can imagine, Eady, now Seti, didn't mind that much. She loved Egypt more than she loved pretty much anything else. So she took her son and moved to Naziat al-Saman to be near the Giza pyramids, where she met the Egyptian archaeologist Salim Hassan of the Department of Antiquities, who employed her as a secretary and draftswoman for his own research. In fact, it was a bit of a historic hire, as Eady was the department's first female employee. According to Barbara Lesko, quote, she was a great help to Egyptian scholars, especially Hassan and Fakhri, correcting their English and writing English language articles for others. So this poorly educated Englishwoman developed in Egypt into a first-rate draftswoman and prolific and talented writer, who, even under her own name, produced articles, essays, monographs, and books of great range, wit, and substance. This new role gave Eady a kind of cachet in the archaeological community. But don't get it twisted, Eady was not an academic. Her professionality lay somewhere between scholar, writer, enthusiast, collector, and witch. She was known to spend nights alone in the Great Pyramid of Giza, laying offerings at the feet of the Sphinx. But she never wavered in her beliefs or the story of her past life. Though she was the subject of a lot of gossip, she was also widely admired for being so open and studious around Egyptian systems and culture. Her larger-than-life personality and obsession with Egypt meant Eady befriended many of the famous Egyptologists of the era, even coming with some of them on their excavations. Salim Hassam's magnum opus, the 10-volume Excavations at Giza, gives, quote, special mention with sincere gratitude to Eady for her editing, drawing, indexing, and proofreading work. At the same time, her faith in the Egyptian gods deepened, making night prayers and offerings to Horus, but also fasting with the Muslim villagers during Ramadan and celebrating with Christians at Christmas. At 52, due to budget cuts, even then, Eady's position was terminated with Hassan, leaving her unemployed. So she climbed the Great Pyramid and asked Lord Osiris, Quo vadis, meaning, where are you going in Latin. There, apparently, he offered her a choice of taking a well-paid job in the Cairo Records Office or a poorly paid position in Abydos as a draftswoman. She chose the latter, reporting that a vision of Seti I approved her choice, saying that the, quote, wheel of fate was turning and this would be a time of testing. In Abydos, she proved to be an invaluable aid to researchers. Among other accomplishments, she helped researchers locate the ruins of the gardens of Seti I from her past life memory. Even more uncanny was the exchange she had with the chief inspector from Egypt's Antiquities Department, who took her to Seti's temple and tested her claims. Standing there in total darkness, he described a series of wall paintings to her. After each description, he would ask her to walk in the direction of that particular mural. She did so and was correct every time. The locations of the paintings had never, up until that point, been published. Every morning and night she would visit the temple to recite her prayers for the day. On the birthdays of Osiris and Isis, she would observe the ancient food abstinations and bring offerings of beer, wine, bread, and cookies. She even turned one of the temple rooms into a personal office, where she carried out her work and befriended a cobra, whom she fed on a regular basis, to the alarms of guards and pretty much everyone around her. Eady described the Temple of Seti as entering a kind of psychedelic virtual reality time machine, where the past becomes the present and magic is real. To Eady, the scenes depicted on the temple walls worked on two pretty trippy levels. Firstly, they made the historic actions of her people, maybe, permanent static pieces of history. Secondly, the image could be actually animated by the spirit of the god, if the person stood before the depiction and called the god's name. In 1969, at 68 years old, Eady retired, and her pension of $30 a month was supplemented by needlework sold to friends and tourists, who also brought gifts of clothes, food, and reading materials. Still, she just couldn't stay away, and in time she was rehired back at the Antiquities Department, guiding tourists around the Temple of Seti and explaining the symbolism of the painted wall scenes. In 1972, she suffered a mild heart attack and in the aftermath decided to move into a zariba, a kind of single hut made of reeds, right next to the Temple of Seti. She says that Seti I appeared and carried out a ritual that consecrated the habitation, bowing reverently toward small statues of Osiris and Isis she kept in a small shrine. In the following weeks, Seti visited Eady several more times, giving his opinion of the Greek story of Atlantis and the origins of Osiris. In the early 1970s, Eady also publicly disclosed that she believed she knew the locations of Nefertiti's tomb, but showed some reluctance in disclosing its, quote, most unlikely place because Seti I did not like Akhenaten, Nefertiti's husband, for his attempt to suppress traditional Egyptian religious practices. Quote, we don't want anything more of this family to be known, she says. And yet, she also described the location of the tomb as being close to Tutankhamun's, which was counter to the then prevailing opinion that no more new tombs would be found in the Valley of the Kings. But, in 1998, an archaeological group began exploring the area of Tutankhamun's tomb and found remains that were later confirmed to be Nefertiti's tomb. Again, Eady was correct. How? Well, that's for you to decide. In 1981, Dorothy Eady died at the age of 77, believing that she had finally atoned for the sins of her former self. Before she passed, also knowing no Christian or Muslim cemeteries would accept her, she constructed her own tomb in her back garden, an underground chamber with a concrete slab. Yet at the last minute, health officials intervened, insisting she be given a proper burial, though she insisted on no markings, just a simple pile of stones. Then she died. After Eady's death, she was still a respected part of the Egyptological and academic landscape. According to the late John A. Wilson, called, quote, the Dean of American Egyptology by contemporaries, Eady deserved to be treated as a, quote, responsible scholar. While no academic publicly subscribed to her reincarnation or vision stories, none doubted her sincerity, and many have used her observations of past and present Egypt as reliable source material. According to writings by archaeologist Kent Weeks, scholars have, quote, never doubted the accuracy of Seti's field observations. As an ethnographer, a participant observer of modern Egyptian village life, Seti has had few equals. Her studies easily hold their own next to the works of Lane, Blackman, Heinen, and others who have examined Egypt's long and fascinating cultural traditions. And yet, of course, Eady had her skeptics. Many believed Eady somehow gained access to unpublished materials and used them to deceive people. A psychiatrist who specialized in adolescent behavior speculated that Dorothy Eady's fall down the stairs as a 3-year-old may have resulted in damage to the locus coeruleus, which may have resulted in a cognitive dislocation from her surroundings and spurred her Egyptian obsession. Though she, quote, carried strong childhood, adolescent fantasies into adulthood. Let's leave this episode with some words by legendary astronomer and scientist Carl Sagan on Eady. He remarked that Dorothy Eady was, quote, a lively, intelligent, dedicated woman who made real contributions to Egyptology. This is true whether her belief in reincarnation is fact or fantasy.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. If you own a home, you know how much work it can take, whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality. It can be hard just to know where to start, but now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.